Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is another very interesting video. This is a crazy story, okay? So this is a missing persons case. If you didn't know, I recently set up a request email where you guys can send me requests for topics or video ideas and stuff, and a lot of you guys have been using it. I've been getting hundreds of emails there, and last week especially I was getting so many emails asking me to talk about a story of a man named Bruno, I think it's Borges or Borges? I don't know, he's Brazilian, so a lot of this case, since it takes place in another country and like a lot of the news reporting's in actually Portuguese, it's very hard for me to understand. I clearly don't speak Portuguese and really hard for me to do research on, so I may have gotten some of this wrong, but feel free to correct me, especially if you're Brazilian, in the comment section. But you guys, this one is fucking nuts. So a 24-year-old man in Brazil, on the 27th of March, he disappeared. What makes this so interesting is the manner in which he disappeared, because most people think he purposely disappeared. His family last saw him on the Monday before he went missing at their family lunch. There's this CCTV footage of him running, and that's the last known footage we have of him. But why is this case so interesting? Well, Bruno transformed his room without anyone in his family knowing. His parents were on vacation during it, and he locked his door and made everyone stay out of his room because he was working on a project, and it turns out this project was this. Writing all over the walls, symbols on the walls. I believe he left 14 encrypted books, and all the writing on the wall is extremely organized. He also had a picture on the wall of him with an alien. Very interesting. The picture in the background, you can see Saturn. He's just kind of chilling with this gray alien. So yeah, something was going on with this guy. Before I get any further into this, I want to tell you guys my stance on aliens, because if you didn't guess, a lot of this story has to do with aliens and exposing the true meaning of life. I personally really believe in aliens. I think it's very hard to believe that we are the only ones in our universe, and the universe may even be bigger than we thought. There might be multiple universes. Like, think about that. That will blow your mind. There is such a greater possibility that there are aliens than there's not. And I feel like it's something we're taught to believe is like a crazy thing that's in movies, you know, Men in Black. We just did the video on Men in Black last week. I mean, some people are very afraid of the idea of aliens, so they immediately say like, oh, I don't believe in this. I personally don't believe in like any solid like alien theory. I don't believe in like a certain type of aliens or what they look like, or I don't know anything about them. I just believe that there are aliens and I don't know what they are. And lately I've been really toying with the idea, the belief that the world is very connected, more than we think, that there is a meaning to life, that none of this is by chance. I believe things like crystals and chakras and astrology, even Reiki and reincarnation. I feel like a lot of those things are onto something. I think humans have sort of cracked our own code a little bit. A lot of it is considered a pseudoscience. We're taught to believe that unless an actual scientist with some degree tells you, then it's not true and there's nothing to it. But when you look at how these things are affecting people, thousands of people, you start to think maybe they're onto something. And I don't want to go any deeper because I'll just sit here and talk about aliens forever. So I just wanted to tell you guys kind of my thoughts before I went into this any further, just so you can think of things from, I guess, a different perspective than you may have. So most of the reports that I read said that Bruno transformed his room in 24 days, that he locked the door and he went in there. There's some that say 22. I think a lot of things are getting mistranslated. He borrowed the money to do this room from his cousin, actually. His cousin had read some of his books. All of his books, according to Bruno, are like theories that explain the entire universe, that explain the meaning of life. He's also a philosophy student. He's known to be pretty smart. His mom claims that he was a natural born leader and always was different than everyone else as a kid, and she always knew something was going on. She knew about this project, but he wouldn't tell anyone what was actually going on. Now, police actually believe that some of his friends may know at least some of it, but they had some type of secrecy pact. A dressmaker in Brazil said that Bruno came to her and requested 3 cloaks, and when she asked him if it was for church, he said almost that. One of his friends said he knew about the cloaks, but he didn't really know what they were for or what Bruno was really doing with them. So let's talk about this statue, and this is when this story starts to just get like really mind-blowing. First of all, the statue was super expensive. He had to borrow money for that. I don't know exactly what the price was because it's all like in Brazilian. The sculptor knew about his whole project he was doing and gave him a pretty big discount on the statue. So the statue is a man. His name is Giorgio Bruno. He was an Italian philosopher a long time ago, and he was killed in the late 1500s, I believe, and he was burned at the stake because this guy believed in aliens, free thought, idea of knowing the secrets of the universe. He had some very out there theories, and back then, you know, society wasn't accepting of this kind of stuff and, you know, put a complete end to it by killing anyone who spoke these things. So he was literally burned alive, and he seemed to be okay with that because he, you know, he knew that would happen to him if he kept going and saying all these things, and he just kept doing it. So it tells me that he was very passionate. If you compare Giordano Bruno, which I know I'm probably saying that wrong, but if you compare him to Bruno Borges, they look extremely similar. Like, look at their noses, look at the way their eyes are shaped, and the way that they face down a little bit, they kind of droop. His lips are similar, very similar, even his eyes. Not to mention the fact that they both have the name Bruno in their names. I mean, what? As you probably guessed, Bruno believes that he is the reincarnated version of this philosopher. He was super smart and well-read. According to his family, he read 15 books a month. Super interested in people who have changed society or been kind of like a, you know, historic philosopher remembered for their brilliance. Very like fascinating, the idea of geniuses, and he was especially fascinated by Giordano Bruno. So according to him or his family, they think that he created these books and they're encrypted for people to uncode like the secrets to the universe. There's like Roman numerals on them, and one of his friends actually said he made a few books in different levels of difficulty. His mom believes that he left these for someone who is smart enough to understand these equations, or their brain can compute them, because a lot of it was like equations and, you know, laws and astrophysics. Found on the internet, a little paragraph is apparently the translated version of one of them. They've started to try to crack these books, and here is a paragraph of one of them that they've been able to decode. For thousands of years, the human being has been trying to find answers to the questions such as, what is the meaning of life? The philosophy seems to have begun with Tales of Miletus in the middle of 700 BCE, aims to find traces of unanswered questions. The deep search about the truth comes from philosophy, and we talk about the easy or difficult paths that we're referring to in this type of theorem. It is easy to accept what you have been taught since childhood and what is wrong. It is difficult when you are an adult and try to understand that you have been taught wrongly, since you have suspected that you were correct. In other words, if you fit into some of the stimuli of the environment, you determined a certain behavior, making you at the mercy of well-established and established beliefs in dogmas and rituals with a concentrated mass of people in it, or allowing you to conform, accepting the concept of happiness and meaning of life embedded in media society. Clearly you are the easy path for absolute truth. Does it fit the second option, that is, suspected every set of beliefs that was rooted to him? Then this one has everything to be an investigator of truthfulness in the things around him, entering a more complicated way, in which a minority ventures or bravely faces. So that's pretty interesting stuff right there. But it is very similar to things that people have always said, you know, the idea of kind of the Illuminati, like a government control, like one world government that pulls the strings behind the scenes, and we're, you know, fed fake media and we're manipulated into believing life is something that it's not, is basically the idea. And a lot of philosophers have had like very similar ideas about the true meaning of life and all of this kind of stuff. A super interesting part of this is that he was also really into Reiki. I don't know how into it he was, but he had at least studied it according to his family. And I personally don't know much about Reiki. I hope I'm even saying it right. I'm very interested in it. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it, but it's a lot of like movement and like feeling of bodies and removing negative. I honestly am probably making it sound so not what it is because I don't know. It is a practice that originated in Egypt and then it restarted in Japan. And according to my research, it's all about harmony, emotional, and spiritual balance. Some of the reports I read said that he was even a Reiki master or became a Reiki master and was self-taught. So I just think that's really an interesting piece of this, especially because Reiki goes back to Egypt. And if you don't know, a lot of people, and I definitely need to do a video on this soon, a lot of people think that Egyptians were possibly either connected to aliens or talking about aliens, or they were aliens, or they had a higher knowledge than we do, that they were even more advanced than our society. So it's very interesting that that practice has just continued. Like, doesn't it make you think there's something to this stuff if it's just continuing to make huge changes in people's lives? And maybe they're just imagining it. Who knows? But you don't know. And so I really like to be open-minded to anything that a mass amount of people swear by. So apparently he left his house in just a t-shirt and shorts with a backpack and got in a taxi, and he had the taxi take him to a motel. Behind the hotel is a spiritual place of some sort. A newscast was interviewing a pedestrian about that area, and they said that it's a place that was commonly used as a shrine or like a gathering place for people to do this kind of stuff. There's traces of a bonfire there. There were 4 white chairs and 1 red chair, plastic chairs just chilling there. I know I talked about how most of the friends are pretty quiet about it, and there was one friend who refused to be interviewed, but he did say that he was with Bruno during that 24-day period, and he said that while he was working on this, he often wasn't eating, or maybe didn't eat the whole time. So super strange. As far as his family goes, he does have a twin brother, which I found really interesting, but the brother of course refuses to talk about it. He has a sister who thinks that he's okay but hiding. She does want him to come back home, but she believes that he is somewhere, that he's not gone forever. It seems like a lot of his family think he's like out on some type of meditation retreat. Of course the police are investigating this, but they do believe that he left willingly. They don't think it's a kidnapping, and his father also doesn't think it is. He's like publicly stated, like I'm pretty sure he just left. A lot of people obviously believe he was, you know, abducted by aliens, that he went to go be with aliens. There are a lot of people that believe this was some type of psychotic break and he was having delusions, but he fully believed that his work would change mankind forever, that he's revealing some huge truth. And if you listen to some of his friends, a lot of them kind of say things along like, this was his masterpiece, this is his work of art, this is his legacy to the world. And what's interesting is a lot of the things that he was talking about on the walls or writing was matters and questions about space-time relation, the meaning of life, and how someone is supposed to leave a masterpiece as a legacy. One of his friends believes that it is his masterpiece. He actually says that it's possible this was a marketing strategy. His father even thinks that he wants to be able to publish his books because he was asking about patents and asking for more money. He was often asking people for money. I don't know, it's strange. His father's even said that he would pay for him to get his books patented, and getting a patent is like expensive. So his father is like bribing him with that, saying that if he comes home, he'll help him get the patent. Maybe he really is onto something and he straight up got abducted by aliens and like pieced out. Some people even think that maybe he was contacted by the Men in Black and he was on the run from them. So I don't know how I feel about it, because part of me feels kind of manipulated and sees how this story could totally be fabricated. And the other half of me is like, wow, if this isn't fabricated, this is like mind-blowing. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. If you find any more information, definitely hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to know something new. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to see more thought-provoking and interesting content like this. I upload new videos on Tuesday, Thursday, and a possible surprise video on Sunday, and all of my videos go up at 7 p.m. MST. If you like my content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. There's been a lot of changes with YouTube, and all of us YouTubers are seeing seeing a decrease in our ad revenue and our income. And as most of you know, this is my full-time job, so it's been pretty stressful. So if you want to see me put this type of content out, it's content like mine that's really suffering wrongly. A lot of my videos aren't having ads run on them, and I believe it's because of the type of content that I do. So if you do like this content, you want to see me continue to make it, if you want to support me, I would really, really appreciate it. There is a link to my Patreon. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you next time.